Hey, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom. This is Naaman of the DC Camp branch of Great Millstone, back for another video. But first and foremost, call Hello Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Rakahakwadash. And of course, once again, double honors go out to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. I'd like to also send out salutations to the other Akim that are out there on the highways and byways, week in and week out. Plus the amount of videos that are posted to help further, push the truth across the four corners of this earth in hopes of awakening the remaining, hopefully, elect. All right, so what we got here, oh man. As soon as this loads, I don't know why it's taking so long, but here we go. This is the copyright disclaimer because I'm going to use a video. All right. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statutes that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. All right, so here we go. Yeah. How many times does not only your own experience, but with others that have been around certain people, and just history, the relations, if you want to call it that, between them folks and our people. Enough to know that they live in a completely different universe, it seems. They don't give a shit. All right, we're just a means to an end. All right, and I say that because in this video, we had a Jake woman go to a hockey game. All right. And she just so happens to be sitting behind this individual you see on the screen. Not the man, I'm talking about the woman. All right. And, hey, it's a woman. But she started reading the text this woman was receiving from some guy. And, oh my goodness. It's going to show you what these people really think. You know, they are great actors. All right, which, makes them all more dangerous. All right, they're natural deceivers and liars. All right, so let's go ahead and roll this video. Wow.
Strap in because this one's going to be a doozy and there's a lot going on here. To set this up, a black woman on February 9th went to attend her first hockey game, the Washington Capitals game. Went there, very excited.
This is here in D.C., where I'm at. And yet, this is my first time hearing of this. All right?
Recording videos, really happy about being at the game.
In fact,
and shortly after
the old camp, this is like a block up from where the old camp was, if anybody's familiar with D.C. All right, so this is the Verizon Center, right there, 7th Street, Georgia Avenue, Chinatown area there. This is where this took place.
In her seat, she noticed a white woman who was sitting in front of her, having a text conversation with someone who was saved in her phone as Jimmy. And normally, she wouldn't pay attention to something like that, but the text was very large, and certain words jump off the page, especially as a black woman. When you see someone texting like black people or blacks, that's going to get your attention. So she started paying attention, and what she saw was very upsetting. And I think when we go through these still shots, you'll see why she was upset. So obviously blue would be the woman's responses, the gray boxes would be Jimmy. Here you have part of a conversation: employment, education, and the criminal justice system. Serbia is considered one of the most racist countries. The woman sent him that. Jimmy responds, that's hilarious. So they're saying America is racist because schools in the hood are worse and blacks commit crimes and are too lazy and stupid to get jobs? She had sent him something and said, "You didn't know that?" He responded, "I do know about that. It's just crazy. Blacks probably have more experience because the hood is such a social environment. They don't travel the world like rich whites." She responds, "Right, and they say, like in reading comprehension parts and tests, that it's saying something about, I'm assuming, black people not testing as well, but I don't see the full message, so can't say that for a fact." Next comes this one. Jimmy said, "The CIA has done mean things to black people and abortion targeted black people, but overall nobody has been so kind and welcoming as the white world." No one's been so kind and welcoming to black people as the white world, according to Jimmy. She responds, "Abortion doesn't target people. Black people have more sex partners and so have a higher risk of pregnancy." That's her response. Which brings us to this one. Jimmy says woke people are brain dead. It's easier for blacks to get into college than whites because colleges want to take people from poverty. To which she replies, "It is hardest for white females in suburban areas to get into college." And then is following that up with, "We have the highest GPAs and colleges want diversity, so they won't take us even if our grades, test scores, extracurricular."
See? And yet what she's not admitting to is DEI actually affirmative action. All that, all right, they snuck their little so-called white asses through the back door. And who do you think it hurt most when they did away with that shit? But again, this is earlier in the year, all right? So, Trump just got elected. He was not even a month in, all right, when this happened. So, yeah, think about that,
You could see maybe why this was upsetting to the woman sitting behind her. And this isn't all of it, because the final straw for her, and she was too upset when she saw this to think to pull out her phone and try and record it. Her partner was trying to console her, okay? But she swears on everything, and I have talked to her and confirmed this, that she then saw Jimmy text to the woman and say, "I wish whites would kill all blacks, as well as I want to commit genocide." And what got her so upset, as bad as that is, was that the woman texting with him just sort of moved on from it, like continued the conversation. Wasn't like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
Yeah.
She said all of that. She was distraught. She said the only reason she didn't confront the woman is because the woman was there with a couple of young kids.
All right, fuck them kids.
And for their sake, she didn't just blow the fuck up. But after hours of this, that woman got up to leave, and she got a very clear image of her. And then she messaged me after posting her video on TikTok and asked if I could help with this. And it took me very little time, quite frankly, to take this image and from that find this image of that woman attending a Capitals game. She also said that this looked like the young children she was with. That image led me to this image, which led me to this very professional looking picture that is on the website of her employer. That employer being One Alpine Group, which you can see from this LinkedIn is listed as a top 20 DC lobbying firm. As you can see on their employment page, she's right there, Courtney Johnson, listed as a principal with Alpine Group. Actually, if you go to her LinkedIn, she's listed as the senior vice president at Alpine Group. And if you go to the Alpine Group website and you click on her picture, it pulls up her bio page. It says that Courtney Johnson was recognized as a top lobbyist by The Hill and is dynamic, experienced, and highly motivated government affairs professional with a proven track record of successful advocacy. And she has spearheaded and executed numerous advocacy campaigns on major health legislation. The woman you saw carrying on that text conversation is a top lobbyist in DC with a huge firm who has spearheaded and executed numerous advocacy campaigns on major health legislation. So working on health legislation while making statements in her private life, such as black people have more sex partners and so have a higher risk of pregnancy.
See?
That I guess black people are just more...
For those who want to continue to call us cooks and, yeah. See, this is not so much scary to us because we know. These are the ones be smiling at you, that some of you even, I don't know why, but some of you will even call friends. See, especially from those at work, like I said, they live in another world. All right. So I can't understand when Jake is like, they want to defend these motherfuckers. They go out to wherever they live. They don't have the problems and issues that clearly this woman here, well, both of them. All right. The other one on the other end sending the text, it's like, well, I want to, I wish all white people would kill all black people. This is the mindset, all right, of a whole lot of these Edomites, these so-called white people. But like I said, they're good actors. Oh, good. That's why you would never catch me going out, all right, to, out in the boonies. See, this is why some people like us come up missing, all right? Because for some reason you just deny the history, the hatred that they have for us. That's biblical. All right, so you choose when you have people out there on the corners, you have all these videos, all right, pointing these things out to you. Again, it says never trust thine enemy in Sirach 12:10, and it goes down. All right, this is an easy one. Why would it say never trust your enemy? You see how she's with her children, just another day with some shit like that, and the woman just happened to be, how the stadium seats are, all right, and she's like, what the, but see, again, that's why I made a statement just seconds ago about Jake coming up short, because you just cannot believe all the history that you came across that said they were like this. You therefore refuse. So that's on you. This is Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus chapter 12 verse 10. It says, never trust thine enemy. Who has always been our enemy? How about that? Especially here. Who would go to the great lengths that they did? They teamed up with Ishmael, the Arabs, all right, and Ham, and some of our own. But the ones who financed it were them folks, the JOOs. And the atrocities that were committed ever since by them folks. And yet you trust them, especially with something like that. Notice, she's in the, or at least an advocate for the healthcare industry. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Meaning iron is always going to rust. So therefore, he's going to always be wicked. Though he humble himself and go crouching. Remember, I said they're great actors. Yet take good heed. And beware of him. A lot of them, they're specialists at projection. And this is the thing. They will talk about Jake like, never trust a black. Never turn your back on a black. Shit like that. But it should be you having that attitude towards them. All right? Yet take good heed and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou hadst wiped a looking glass. And thou shalt know that his rust hath not been altogether wiped away. Set him not by thee. lest when he had overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. And thou at the last remember my words and be pricked therewith. But at that point, it's way too late. I don't like being around him. Definitely not up under him. All right. 13. Who will pity a charmer that is bitten with a serpent, or any such as come nigh wild beast? So one that goeth to a sinner and is defiled with him in his sins, who will pity? We've already warned you. All right. So if you continue to not take heed to our warning and you FAFO, fuck around and find out, why should anyone feel bad? All right. So one that go up to the sinner and is defiled with him in his sins, who will pity? For a while he will abide with thee, but if thou begin to fall, he will not tarry. An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, which another characteristic, right? But in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit. That was a prime and perfect example. All right. You saw all those text messages. Hold on. All right. So, an enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit. He will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood. How many times have you read where that's actually happened to Jake? Especially when it comes to these so-called white folks, these Edomites. In business, whatever have you. They turn around and stab him in the back. 17. If adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first. And though he pretend to help thee, yet shall he undermine thee. 18. He will shake his head and clap his hands, and whisper much, and change his countenance. I got you. You nigger. Yeah.
Partners, and so have a higher risk of pregnancy. That I guess black people are just more promiscuous. Now, sharing what I found with the victim, we decided not to just jump into a video. And instead, at her encouragement and blessing, I reached out to Keenan Austin Reed, the CEO. I sent those screenshots as well as the image of her, and then said
by all appearances, a Jake, right? So she's the CEO. So she sent the information to her. Watch this.
Video's available if you want it. She said, yes, please send me the video. I sent her that. And then I didn't hear anything. So after a full day, I emailed her and said, hey, making a video. I don't know if Alpine Group would like to make a statement. She said yes, and she sent the following. We are aware of this issue and have placed...
So yeah, here we go.
Ms. Johnson on administrative leave while we look into this. These statements are inconsistent with our values, culture, and beliefs as an organization. Statement from the Alpine Group. I'll tell you that the woman that experienced that recorded those images, didn't love this response, and I'm not crazy about it myself. But this is their response. So there it is. Also don't know who Jimmy is. I didn't see a Jimmy or a James who works at Alpine, so I guess that's good. Although considering the circles she runs in, he could still be someone important. And what he was saying was absolutely vile. So maybe after January 20th, this is just considered not as big a deal to some people. Still a big deal to me. Still a big deal to that woman who experienced it. I think it's still a big deal to a lot of people in America, regardless of their political affiliation. So I will keep tabs on this, and if I hear anything more, I will let you all know.
Ontvang nu tijdelijk de...
See, this is the reason why. All right. You have these people that say, well, you know, y'all need to get over it. Get over it. As if it ever stopped. See? So that's going to be it. I didn't want to, But again, this is one of those situations we were under because, hey, we went off. And this is Jeremiah 15:5. It says, "For who shall have pity upon thee, O Jerusalem?" All right, clearly, our story, which actually happened, by the way, and continues to happen. But I'm saying this because them folks, when they speak of this Holocaust BS, all right, which you have to understand that these people have gotten and garnered sympathy for something that didn't happen the way that they say it did, that happened over on another continent, but yet everything that happens to us is always pushed up under the rug, so to speak. And like it says here, "For who shall have pity upon thee, O Jerusalem? Or who shall bemoan thee? Or who shall go aside to ask how thou doest?" An event such as what happened supposedly in World War II, man, they needed that villain that was Hitler. You gotta understand, until that happened, it would have been so easy to identify, according to the scriptures, who are the actual Israelites. They needed that event to happen so people would feel sympathy for them. Not actually reading the scriptures and the prophecies in those scriptures, then they would have realized these people don't, the math ain't mathing, as they say. But no, people got into their emotions, as was the intent. But see, the thing is, they've done the actual hard work for us because they're being brought down, and people, that illusion, that veil has fallen, and people are saying, you know what? As hard as they might not want to admit it, they're saying, no, this doesn't vibe. These can't be the people. And this is what part of that anger and directed at these museums, because the more and more all this information is coming out, and they're saying, well, why? And you know who's pulling his strings? I'm talking about Trump, to go after these museums. Well, you know, history is history. Why? But why is nobody going down to speaking about the Holocaust like that? Because more and more people are looking and comparing. Say, well, wait a minute. This seems to be more talking about these so-called African Americans than, you know what? They didn't need that. They didn't want that. Of course. See, you're going to take, just being absolutely petty, but they're running scared. That's the thing. All right. So with that, once again, just a little, it's coming down to the wire here, and it's a beautiful thing to see. All right. I love seeing them squirm, personally, you know. All right. But that's what we're here for, 2 Corinthians 10th chapter. In fact, let me close with that, because that's what we're here to do. Sift through all these lies, all right, because they've enjoyed untold riches and comfort off of our misery. All right, and this is 2 Corinthians 10 and 4. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through the Most High to the pulling down of strongholds. And what are those strongholds? 5. Casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalted itself against the knowledge of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Hamashiach Yahushua. Keeping it spiritual. They hate that. They would love if we came at them like, say, Black Panthers or, some carnal shit. But that's why keep it spiritual. And then you get to Hosea 6:5. We're tearing them up with the word, hewing them to pieces. All right. So with that, that's what we do here at Great Millstone. I hope whoever views this is edified. And once again, especially now, because there's videos out there where them folks, they're getting their guns. They're sensing that they've lost their power. All right, and they can't take it. So again, be wary, be very cautious. And as usual, be circumspect. So with that, shalom.